Hi and welcome to this new timeless reading. Let's take a look at what frequency is currently activating. And it's going to be in three cards. The first one is the details, second one is what can be released, and the third one is advice. So let's take a look. And the frequency we have is the devil. And what I'm getting is twofold. The first part is very, very high levels of creative energies are getting downloaded at this point in time. And with that, there's destructive energy that's currently lifting. So there's kind of like this movement that's going on where very, very high frequencies and energy is coming in to fill us up and makes us feel creative, and there's possibly root chakra type activations, if you will, and at the same time there's an equal amount of darkness that is also lifting and temptations. But also what I'm getting is the temptation aspect can be in the positive, where you're tempted, let's say, to leave your job and dive into creation on a much more intense level than you've been before. It can also spark going towards people they have attraction for, and this doesn't need to necessarily only be on a physical level. Sometimes it's almost as bait, like you think you're attracted physically to the person, but there's so much more to it underneath the surface, and as you actually activate the connection, the exchange takes you in a completely different direction, which is equally, if not more, powerful than just physical. So yeah, it's actually like in equal amounts, and you kind of have to discern what works for you, as there is this very high creative potential, and also the dark side is activated in equal amounts. And what I'm seeing is also there's a lot of entities lifting off of grids, off of people, spaces, places, and I hear even generational lines. So let's say the astral and the ethers are packed AF right now with that, and this can only happen because there's a higher level integration taking place of energies that replace where the darkness was anchored. So it's great news, but you have to use discernment and remain careful and decide what actually works for you, because some people will choose to play in darkness a tad bit longer, which in my personal perspective, like, I get people do what they choose to do, but it's a massive waste of time, because let's say you have like everything you need to create something so much better, so much more aligned, that gives you direction, makes you feel powerful, but then you're gonna dab in a swamp for however much longer, like, you know. So now what can be released? And it's the Page of Swords, and what I got right away, it's time to de-anchor from old timelines. So right away I saw, let's say, a family situation where you don't feel respected and appreciated. Instead of longing to find a way to make this work or whichever, de-anchor, fully de-anchor, go your own way, take care of yourself, make sure you do something nice and comforting that will actually make you release the expectations you have towards people that can't meet you there, that can't give you what you need, and choose not to, you know. The more we de-anchor from narcissistic circumstances, the faster they die off, and the faster they release the dark energy, and we then have access to much more aligned and powerful potential. So the example was with family, but you can apply that to whichever circumstance. And now what is the advice? And we have the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is what I'm saying, it's fulfillment, but in remembering that you deserve aligned connections, aligned circumstances, and fruitful opportunities, which were not accessible previously, because if you're anchored in old timelines and circumstances, you can't access this. And if you're dealing with darker energies, you don't have the elevation needed to activate this. So the advice is to, at least as you're dealing with those aspects, it's to remember that this exists, and you're not dreaming up things that make no sense and don't exist. It's actually, it was out of reach previously, and the process we're collectively going through is so we can activate and elevate in a way that this reality becomes eventually dominant, where people, like-minded people that have a higher perspective and constructive dreams for, to some extent, the collective or themselves, become more of the norm. And it's those things when you're a child that, oh, you can be anything, everything's possible, and then you enter the system and it breaks you apart and it tells you this is out of reach, it's not accessible, it wasn't real. But it was. It's just, if you get your hand caught up in a machine and your entire body follows, you're not in the same structure as you were previous to being crushed by man-made structures, you know? And now we're kind of like reactivating a more divine and whole aspect of ourselves, and then this becomes accessible once more. So yeah, it's kind of like believing in yourself and your dreams again, and having in perspective a concrete physical manifestation of that being possible in your life experience. So I hope this resonated.